Welcome to America's Mess Kitchen, Pandemic Edition. Today we're going to be making an American classic, Spam and potatoes. During today's show, I'm going to try to explain a little bit about the history of this food cultural icon while I prepare this delicious dish for you. There's few ingredients that are involved, but I'm going to go ahead and start getting those ready, and when I come back, I'm going to introduce you to today's guest chefs as we get started with the cooking. All right, and we're back and ready to get started. But before we do, I want to introduce you to my two fellow chefs here. First, we have Chef Ben. Ben, can you wave? Okay, and we're privileged to have the world-famous, world-renowned chef. Now, Chef is going to be overseeing our show today. While Chef Ben, why don't you tell us what you're going to be doing? What are you going to be doing?
Grinding the pepper.
Grinding the pepper. Excellent. Freshly ground pepper is a key ingredient to making spam and potatoes. Now, before we get started, actually, you know what? I could talk forever, so why don't we just go ahead and get started. Now, you have a couple options as to how you could grease your pan. You could use vegetable oil. Since I'm using a non-stick pan, I prefer to just use a squirt of canola oil here. And just like that, you can get started. Toss the potatoes in.
These in?
Nope, not those, not yet. You keep working on that pepper, Chef Ben. And just make sure you give them a stir every now and then. The potatoes are going to take a little while. They can take a good 15 to 20 minutes, in fact, depending on how high of a heat you have. So you definitely want to put them in first. Don't underestimate how long it might take to cook these potatoes, especially if you cut them quite large. Excellent. They need to be a little bit smaller, Chef Ben. If you could keep working on that. Thank you. While Chef Ben works on our freshly ground pepper, I'm going to put a little bit of the canned pepper in just to start our seasoning for us. A little bit softer. Now, you might be asking, why are we cooking spam and potatoes? Well, there's a couple reasons for that. One is that it is one of my personal favorite dishes. Growing up at home, my parents would often make this as a cheap, quick meal during the week, something you could feed a lot of people, save a little bit of money on. And then in college, I found that I kind of started liking it even more for those same reasons. If you're on a budget, you can make quite a lot of food for just about $10. Again, potatoes, spam, some onions and pepper, and you're pretty much good to go. But the thing about it is, spam actually has a much larger and longer history. Thank you, Chef Ben. A little bit smaller. Can we keep going just a little bit longer? Thank you. Since it was initially introduced by Hormel in 1937. And right after the commercial break, I'm going to tell you a little bit about that history as we continue on our culinary adventure here.
Welcome back!
While you were away, our potatoes were simmering in the pot. Take a look at that. There's nothing better than that steamy, starchy smell when you lift the lid for the first time. So you can see where our potatoes at. In just a moment, we're going to be adding, I'm going to have Chef Ben here, who has completed his work on our pepper. He's going to be adding the spam. Chef Ben, would you like to add the spam to the container? Yeah? All right. Come on over here.
Whoa.
Yeah. All right. The whole bowl.
Dump it in.
Dump it in. Don't drop the bowl. Good work. Did you wash your hands?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right. Back over here now. Back to your station. All right, so we'll go ahead. We'll stir the spam into the potato mix. Chef Ben, you're going to be taking some notes for Chef, I understand? Right? Thank you. So we're going to let that cook for a little while, stir it occasionally, add a little bit more pepper if you'd like. In the meantime, I'd like to talk a little bit about spam itself. As I mentioned, it was first introduced by Hormel in 1937, initially produced in Minnesota and still today. Most of the spam that we eat in the United States and across the world is still produced in Minnesota. In fact, there is a Spam museum that operates in Minnesota. Now, it was introduced in 1937 in the US, but it really exploded in popularity internationally as a result of World War II. The allies, such as Great Britain in Europe, were sent Spam as part of relief packages from the United States.
Pepper?
Not quite yet. We're almost there, buddy. And in the Pacific Islands, Spam took on a true relevance as it became a staple for a short period of time, a staple of many people's diets there during the war period. Almost to the pepper. Take some notes.
I did.
We need more notes. More notes. Better. Always take notes. When you take notes, it helps commit things to memory better. So as I was saying, the Pacific Islands, it drew tremendously in popularity, in particular in Hawaii. There is more Spam consumed in Hawaii than per capita than anywhere else in the U.S. There are Spam festivals. Recently, there was even an organized crime ring that was going around stealing Spam. Such is the value of Spam in Hawaii. And in a lot of Pacific Islands, it's fried up like this, but often prepared in slices with things like rice and other more traditional.
He's giving you the note.
Thank you, Chef. I'm being told to speed it up. So, again, in Hawaii, this took on a real cultural significance. To this very day, you can go to Hawaii and you can get Spam not just in every grocery store, but also at Burger King and McDonald's. And you'll find that if you were to go to the grocery store, there's a wider variety of Spam in their grocery stores than we have here. Lots of different flavors, hickory smoked, pineapple flavored, things like that. But all of it is based off of the original recipe. Chef Ben, are you okay? Okay, come on back over.
No, that some fell out.
Oh, we'll worry about that later. Come on. Some got away. But it's based off of an original recipe, which was initially created as part of a contest by Hormel. Not yet. It's almost done cooking.
No, I'm tasting one.
Not the one that fell on the floor. No, it's okay. Here, you talk with Chef. It was initially part of a contest by Hormel where they were trying to get people to eat more pork shoulder, which was not as popular of a cut of pork at the time. So this was the winning recipe was Spam of that contest. Chef needs some help, Chef Ben. And in a few short years, as I said, it was exported across the world as part of the war effort. As the United States entered the war, the world not only got American guns and soldiers, but it also got heavily salted pork products, which brings up an important point. As you are cooking this, you are, of course, free to add salt, but I think you'll find that you'll get plenty of sodium simply from putting the Spam into your dish. Now, at this point, we're getting close to the point where I'm going to let this just sit for a few minutes, but I'm going to ask Chef Ben, who clearly needs a job, to come back into the picture and give us some of his freshly ground pepper. If you're, quite bougie, you can use a mortar and pestle to prepare it. Chef Ben? Sprinkle a little bit on, the pepper. Throw some in there. A little bit more?
Of it.
Go for it.
No, you gotta dump it in.
We're dumping it in. Okay, I'll stir that up good. And when we come back from our next break, we're going to finish it off with the onions. Come back again to America's Mess Kitchen as we are finishing up our gourmet Spam and potatoes, which has very few ingredients. It's essentially Spam and potato. If you want to take a look over here as I reveal this sensationally salty, sizzling snack of ours, you can see about the level it's done at. Now, Spam, it's important to note, is pre-cooked. You can eat it right out of the can. That's what makes it such a wonderful treat. I prefer mine a little bit on the crispy side, so that's going to go for a little bit longer. But as it does, we're going to add the last little extra ingredient we've got here. Thank you, Chef Ben. The onions give it a little bit more zest. So We're going to let that cook for a few minutes. Again, feel free to use onion, don't use onion, use yellow onions, red onions, purple onions, a mixture of all of them. Shallots, if you're weird like that, I guess you could do that as well. Thank you, Chef Ben. And while this is cooking, I do want to offer one last note, and that is, how do you eat this when you're done? Out of a bowl, I would suggest. Otherwise, you're hunting around on the plate with a fork, and it's awkward. Chef Ben, where are you going? Oh, go ahead, get the fork. Chef Ben wants to demonstrate the type of fork one may use. Come on. In the meantime, stirring. Chef Ben, would you like to show everyone the fork? That is a fork. Aside from what you might use to physically eat the meal with, I have some other suggestions. One would be hot sauce. In fact, this is my only suggestion, thank you, Chef Ben. Hot sauce makes an excellent condiment on top of your Spam and potatoes. Now, when I was younger, I would use Tabasco, but Tabasco is a little bit watery. It doesn't have much texture to it.
Can I mix?
Mix what?
Mix up. I never get to mix it.
You want to mix it? Sure. Take the spatula. Let me finish talking about hot sauce. These Valentinas, Tapatio, both of those are good options because they're a little bit thicker, especially the Valentinas. So that would be my suggestion. Also goes great on popcorn. Chef Ben, would you like to stir? And then we're going to tell our friends goodbye. Come.
What? Because this then be done?
It's almost done. Start. It's important to make sure you don't have, because you're dealing with kind of square objects, you do want to stir them regularly so they don't get all burnt on one side. Thank you, Chef Ben. Yep. Okay. So I want to thank you all for spending the afternoon with us. Thank you to the wonderful chef. And Chef Ben, is there anything you'd like to say to everyone before they leave?
Bye.
Bye. Well said. All right, everyone. I hope you enjoyed my rendition of Spam and potatoes. Good luck with your own recipes, and have a nice day. Hello, everyone. I hope you enjoyed my mock cooking show. The purpose of this was not only to show you how to make Spam and potatoes, but also to set up an activity I would like you to complete. I want you to think about the different audiences that you might appeal to if you were to try and sell Spam. What are some of the appeals that you might make? What's some of the language that you might employ to communicate the tasty, salty delectableness that is Spam and potatoes, or Spam in general? You could try to sell this to an audience based on its access, so how easy it is to make, how cheap it is, how quick it is to make it on a busy weekday night. Perhaps you want to take the more culturally relevant angle, talk a little bit about the history of it somehow. But however you do it, I want you to do it in 30 to 45 seconds as a radio ad. Radio as a communication medium relies very much on clear and vivid use of language. So I want you to create a 30 to 45 second radio spot that I will ask you to upload for all of us to listen to. Be creative. How would you want to sell this Spam if you were in charge of marketing it? Again, think about the different sensations, taste, the texture of Spam and potatoes and onions, the smell it makes as it kind of wafts up out of the skillet while you're cooking it. As you can see, I'm not quite done yet. Or even just the experience of making it with a small toddler who, surprisingly, followed instructions fairly well. However you choose to approach it, it's up to you. But I want to see creativity, or rather I want to hear creativity, thoughtfulness, and the identification of a particular audience. Who are you trying to sell this to? Because that's going to shape how you sell it. All right, if anyone has any questions, please don't hesitate to ask, and thank you for listening.